It's Easter time.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 City of Pittsburgh Commission meeting to order. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, we would like to start this evening with a proclamation to recognize Domestic Violence Prevention Month. And if I could have Alyssa Hess join me. Whereas domestic violence is a widespread, preventable public health problem impacting all demographics of Kansas communities, and residents of Pittsburgh. And whereas relationships are often counted as life's greatest treasure, and tragically many are tarnished by one person's entitlement to power and control over the other, resulting in violence and fear. And whereas domestic violence abusers violate an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity with their intentional, systematic use of financial, psychological, sexual, physical, and coercive control and abuse. And whereas during the 2024 fiscal year, the Safe House Crisis Center in Pittsburgh provided shelter to 167 women, men, and children experiencing domestic violence, totaling 5,800 bed nights to those fleeing. They also provided shelter to 40 family pets that fled with their owners. And whereas the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention reports about 41% of American women and 26% of American men experienced contact, sexual violence, physical violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime. And whereas the members of the City of Pittsburgh governing body recognize this violence is inconsistent with Pittsburgh's values and cannot be tolerated. Therefore, I, Dawn Mayer, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, do hereby proclaim the month of October 25 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and call this observation to the attention of all Pittsburgh citizens. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. It is with the continued support of Pittsburgh, as well as the other cities and towns in our 7-county service area that continues to push our, excuse me, I wasn't expecting to say some words, so I'm very nervous. Thank you. That continues to push our mission in place and moving towards a future in which services like Safe House are no longer needed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I would now open it up for public input and ask if, when you come forward, please state your name, address, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less.
All right, good evening. Joella Reed Skiles, 112 Westfield Road, Pittsburgh, Kansas. I'm going to start by asking a question. If you're not able to personally attend the City Commission meetings, what are the ways that you can access the City Commission meetings?
Would someone like to answer that for Joella?
You can watch it on
YouTube.
YouTube,
You can-
the city's YouTube.
Is YouTube the only access?
I'm looking for the pros. There's at least 2 cable. Oh,
There are two.
Jeff's on the front row.
There are 2 cable access channels in town, Crocan, Cox Communications, that stream it to their local channels, as well as to YouTube. And then if you would like a copy of it, you can always request it from the city clerk through public information.
But you can,
But
you
does
can
that
watch it on
contain-
government access channel, right? The
Yeah,
government-
yeah, Channel 6 and whatever it is on Crocan's number. So.
Okay. I have Crocan as my streaming platform, but I don't have the regular cable TV service, so those would not be available to me, correct?
You can access it via YouTube at that point, yeah.
Okay, there's my point. All right. Have any of you watched the City Commission meetings lately on YouTube?
Yes. Do you have a specific issue, Joella?
Yes, I do. The last 2.5 months, I have not been able to attend the meetings for various family reasons. And I've watched it faithfully on YouTube. And I have noticed through many of the broadcasts that the audio-visual feed is out of sync. Not just a little bit, but sometimes in several minutes, especially the meeting just before this one and the one just before that one where you were talking about the budget, which although I do not live in the parameters of the city of Pittsburgh, those decisions still impact me. And it was very frustrating in that almost 2-hour time span that many, I mean, almost consistently, it was not just a few seconds out of sync, it was minutes out of sync. Like, I would hear one person talking and another person would be standing at the podium, which for most viewers, they would have just given up, shut it off and sat down. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and I know that probably in the near future, when, I don't know who we deal with, if we deal with Crawcan, that's fine. I love Crawcan, but if we're dealing with Cox, then I know Cox is shifting to Spectrum, so that might be a difference. So just asking to look into it to see if that could be remediated.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're glad to see you back.
Casey Brown with CCAP at 401 North Senate in Girard.
Scott Christensen with CCAP, Director of Transportation.
We wanted to come before you today. We gave some information out there and was kind enough to present it to you guys. Give you a heads up of where we are on our current transportation. We understand.
We've got you scheduled actually as a special
Do
presentation
you?
under the next item.
No, that's not them.
Is this the same?
This is a different group.
Yep.
Two of us.
You got two, okay.
Yep, we're just here for public comment. We want to come back and join you in a more formal setting, but we want to make sure and get in front of you today the information in regards to where we stand. Talking with Darren, I talked with him earlier this week and last week in regards to our transportation. Crawford County is served by 5 of our routes, 3 general public routes, 2 predominantly that stay here in Pittsburgh, and that's our door-to-door service. And then there are currently two packed routes that run north-south on their regular routes. We are facing a funding crisis that is actually going to cause us to temporarily suspend some of those services. The sheet that you've been given has the dates on those. I know that historically the city has focused on the existence of those packed routes because that is interconnecting a lot of the city. Appreciate the budget you guys passed a little bit ago with the 10% increase. So for next year, we've got $33,000 from you guys to run it, but we need 40 to continue operating a single route. So the 33 for next year, we would be short 7. This year, we have 30 from you, and that would put us short 10. There are some alternatives where we can alter some schedules and alter some days of service that we would love to have a conversation with you guys about. But we want to make sure you guys are aware of those dates, and if you guys had any questions, we're available to you.
I think meeting with Darren and the team is your first step, so we'll look
Yep.
forward to their recommendation or your presentation.
Yep.
Great,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Casey.
Thank you.
Around 40 grand.
Hi, my name is Humberto Lira from 200 East Quincy, and good evening, everyone. I'm here to represent a growing community of athletes for the need and express importance of a complex or soccer fields. This community infrastructure would be a good investment in the long run. Building this will address the demand for not just current players of all ages, but past and future players. I believe that the completion of this demand will in turn help out with our community in terms of public health and create potential economic growth within the city. Growing up in Pittsburgh, from the moment I kicked the ball to growing in this grown out jersey, we had very consistent playing surfaces, from playing to the park that we are right now, to playing in the women's soccer field, to playing in the Pitt State baseball fields. It's difficult to expand and growing in our culture, and I've seen the sport grow from just a couple set of guys just playing ball to a more I guess a society with the youth teams and adult teams playing in different areas. And the timing for this demand it's honestly a perfect opportunity since the World Cup is next year. We had international tournaments this year, and it'd be a great opportunity to get what a growing community wants. And I know that the cost of this complex is expensive, but with the investment in this complex, it will put an end to straining out the public fields, the public parks that we have right now. And I think it'll be great for hosting and partnering opportunities with organizations in schools. And I honestly really think it'll be a great hosting local or even regional tournaments. I'm not just here asking for fields or complex. I'm here asking for a collaboration between the city, the community, and Parks and Rec. Let's invest in the future. Let's improve this growing community, and let's bring in more diverse culture where people from different color, different races, different nations, different languages. Let's all bring it together because we all love one thing, and that's soccer. And we do share a language, and that's soccer too.
Thank you.
So let's, thank you, all right.
Good evening, Commissioners. On page 77 of, I'm Christy Bittner, 1508 Bittner Court. On page 77 of the appropriations scheduled to be paid by the city in tonight's agenda, there's a line item to Silverback Landing LLC for $141,834.26. What is this payment for? Is it for the RHID funds? And if so, why are they being paid out at this time? Just over 2.5 weeks ago, the contract was signed between P&L and Silverback Landing LLC. Nothing has changed since that time for a payment to be made to this company. According to the development agreement, it is only after the substantial completion of the work with respect to the internal infrastructure improvements are completed and a form provided by Silverback Landing LLC can a certificate of substantial completion form be presented to the city. Has this form been submitted? Has the city completed inspections of the work stated on the form? Has it been done by a third-party company? Has the city received an invoice reimbursement schedule? Until these documents are presented and verified, it is incumbent for the City Commission to not allow this payment. It's time for the city to make public the contract between P&L Development and Silverback Landing LLC to know what the terms of this agreement are. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close public comment.
Well, I'm gonna come up here and
Oh, sorry, Pete.
pose
Oh,
a
man,
prayer
you-
on you. What do you
you
think?
That'd be nice.
Oh, I'd just like to gather you for a moment, a breather and a little recollection here as we begin. Blessed are you, Lord, who created us. You bless our daily existence and gather us in community. Be with us throughout this evening as we continue and manage our practical matters. Help us to recognize your kingdom in our midst. May we listen to each other and identify our common concerns. Remind us to give attention to those most vulnerable among us. May your Spirit abide within each of us and be present at this meeting this evening. We ask this in the name of all that each of us holds sacred. Amen.
Thank you, Pete.
Hope you have a great meeting.
Thanks for
You
waiting,
too.
Pete.
Yeah, thanks for, yeah, Joella popped up really fast. All right, we're gonna move into our consent agenda. Being removed from the consent agenda are items C, D, G, and I. So the consent agenda motion will include A, B, E, F, H. Do I have that right, commissioners? Okay, is there a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Doc, seconded by Cheryl. Roll call vote.
Brooks.
Yes.
McNabb.
Yes,
Mansell.
Yes.
Sigley.
Yes.
motion carries. Item C, approval of ordinance G 1377, providing for the change of certain areas from RP4 Planned Apartment House to CP2 Planned General Commercial, and amending and supplementing the zoning district boundary map and zoning ordinance number G 663 as amended of the city of Pittsburgh, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city. Hi, Dexter.
Good evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, Dexter, I asked for this to be removed. Do you have any maps showing what we're talking about, or?
I don't have a map currently with me. I didn't plan for this to be removed, but I can describe exactly where this is at.
Well, I think people ought to know what we're talking.
Sure, this is a piece of property, Linden Street, that is on the far east side of Summerfield Apartments. So that's Summerfield Apartments are, just as you're leaving town past the hospital on Centennial. You have across the tracks, and you have Summerfield Apartments. Far east side of that, you have a little stretch of land there that's this property is. Was supposed to be developed, never got developed back in the day. The current owner that owns Summerfield is asking to vacate that Linden Street so he can develop that area.
The owner's gonna develop it or somebody
Correct.
else?
No, the owner of Summerfield Apartments.
Okay.
So C and D are related to this?
They're related. They're the
Okay.
same exact thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to have that D, he just explained.
have to
Well, we'll
vote
still have to vote on it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. So if we're comfortable with C, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Chuck, seconded by Doc. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item D, approval of an order vacating a portion of Linden Street in the city of Pittsburgh, Crawford County, Kansas, and authorize the mayor to sign an order on behalf of the city. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Chuck, seconded by Cheryl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're moving on to item G, approval of staff request to enter into agreement with Envision KC to develop a new application to access the existing database documents and image files used by the Sleuth program in the amount of $38,075 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, do you have any questions about it? I'd love to answer.
What was that again?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I did. And that's why I brought you up here, so you can, I hopefully you got some slides.
I mean, I can put some slides up there. I didn't know I was gonna need to put slides up, but what do you,
What are your questions, Chuck?
yeah.
Yeah, I just, my question is, where's this money coming from? And I think I know.
I believe it's public safety sales.
And could you explain a little bit about what this is, since you?
Yeah, so about 15 or 20 years ago, we entered into an agreement with a company called Sleuth, which was our record management solution for our law enforcement. We used it successfully for well over a decade until we transitioned to our newer software package, which was New World. At the time, we decided it wasn't worth the extra additional cost to migrate the data from one system to the other, so we maintained access to the old system. That old system is now almost 25 years past its prime, and it doesn't meet any of our insurance standards for security or cyber, so currently our law enforcement have no access to look up old records in there for old DUIs for records management and so forth. This project will allow a developer to take that old data, put it into a more modern, cloud-friendly environment so that our staff can access and manage that data.
That's good. Would the sheriff's department and Pitts State Police have any?
I
Any
don't know if
access?
we've ever, I mean, potentially they could. I don't know if we've ever given any access to the old data to them before. I mean, there would be no technological reason not to.
I
but-
believe the only access that would be an outside agency is PSUPD may have some evidence-related data in there.
Okay.
That may be the only connection.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Chuck? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Chuck, seconded by Doc. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item I, approval of appropriation ordinance for the period of October 14th, 2025, subject to the release of HUD expenditures when funds are received, excuse me. Cheryl?
I was wanting more clarification on the 141, 834.26 as far as RHID payment. Well, the RHID money, where did this money come from, first of all?
Is this
Go ahead.
related to what Christie is talking about?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Kim will probably come up. It's the property tax that has been held back for the development of the houses that have been developed in the RID to this point, I think.
Yes, so as part of the closing process, so the RID funds, which is the $141,000 that you're referring to, was released on the date of closing. Once everything was received in order that we needed to be able to do that, it was not released to Mickey or P&L Development. It was released to Silverback Landing LLC as part of the closing. There is a contract with Evergy to complete the remaining infrastructure, which we had asked Mickey to do and he would not do. So we did get that commitment to complete that electrical infrastructure, which was the last checkbox to release those funds.
Okay, so this has to do with Evergy,
Yes.
besides the taxes.
This money was the tax money that was supposed to be distributed upon substantial completion. The one thing that wasn't substantially completed was the electricity with Evergy, which is why we were holding it. That was completed during the closing process.
Okay, so you're saying Evergy has completed everything?
No, Evergy and Silverback Landing LLC, or Point Forward, has a contract to complete that work.
Okay.
They will pay for it and it will be done. So that is,
How come we don't hold it until they do it? Just,
we can, but in order to get the closing and make everything work and not release to Mickey, that worked.
but the city was still holding the money to
We
start
were,
with.
we were.
So if he didn't do it, then we were still holding it.
And he also didn't get a signed contract saying that he would do it.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
But then you're releasing it without the work being done. Is that way I'm understanding it?
Well, there's a signed contract with Evergy that they're committed to do the
They're
work.
committed,
So we
yes.
were willing to accept that.
Okay. I just, it's almost, the questions that she had asked earlier, I know that with the way, like the request for reimbursement and things like that, that go along with it.
And those were all
So-
signed in order at closing
Oh, those were done at closing too? Okay.
by Silverback Landing LLC.
So what's their timeline to do that?
As soon as Evergy can get out there, they gave them a new estimate for the infrastructure since it had to be reworked, so they're working on that. That's the quickest way they can get things moving and get that phase one complete.
So this was just through 24 taxes then, right? Mm-hmm. And then
So the
anything
homes
from
that are standing.
25 on will still be in a red, and then.
The
anything that they
disbursements will come
do
in.
Otherwise will be reimbursed at that time, like as far as the eligible costs. They're still out there. Or are there no more eligible costs than just the electricity that you're talking about?
Yeah, so the phase one completion would be the remaining 15 lots of electrical infrastructure. That's been committed with Evergy to complete per the new developer. And then all of the eligible costs, that's whenever, and I think Christy, you'd asked too, whenever we said that we have $2.7 million worth of eligible costs that we have proof of that was spent on the infrastructure that are eligible in that list, Exhibit C. So we have all of that information proven that that's all been completed. And those costs have been expended.
This is a contractual agreement between Evergy and LLC, right?
So the contracted agreement between Evergy and Silverback Landing LLC is to complete the remaining infrastructure, which was the last box to check to say phase one was to complete to release the RID
Not a
funds.
contract with the city?
No,
Okay.
nope.
So what question?
And we'll inspect all that and work with Evergy through that, make sure it's done right, but.
So you're shaking your head no. What do you, if that's all right, what is it you're shaking your head
Well,
no?
besides the electrical, there's still the entrance package, there's still the crash gate to be done on the eligible cost, and some, probably a few other things that, with the road sewers that have not been done.
Yep,
So-
on the Exhibit C, on the Exhibit C, it'll list out categories that are eligible cost, but that's not in the development agreement to necessarily complete. It's just saying if he put in an entrance package, he could have gotten reimbursed for that. He did not, and that is not an approved eligible cost. So that $50,000 can't be requested because he didn't put in crash gate, he didn't put in a $125,000 entry package.
If you were following,
That is not what was promised when this agreement was made. And this was the agreement made with the new people. It was basing it on the original agreement. And so why isn't it being followed and
It's not.
continuing on?
Yeah, it will be followed, and.
No, it's
and
not.
They just
Okay, well,
signed a
they
week
just signed
ago.
really soon. So Silverback Landing LLC does plan to do an entrance package. They will work on all of these things. I'm just saying Mickey wasn't able to get reimbursed for these items if he didn't do them. Does that
Right.
make sense?
It does, but also, all of the money from 23 to 25, that was the RHID money, why wasn't that paid to Mickey during that time? Even, it should have been waited until he completed everything, correct?
It was.
It was.
There was no money paid to, There was no
That's what I'm saying.
RID, there was no RID funds paid to Mickey Bennett.
So I'm asking, if this has not been completed for Silverback, then why is Silverback getting the money now? Instead of waiting to make sure, because Mickey didn't do it, well, let's make sure this gets done the way it's supposed to be done.
Sure, the Silverback Landing LLC, the remaining thing to check the box to release those RID funds, the 141,000, was to have a contract with Evergy or complete the Evergy 15 lots of infrastructure. That was the last thing. Crash gate, entrance package, all those were just items that would have been eligible for reimbursement. It didn't say that they had to be completed, if that makes sense. What had to be completed was substantial completion of the infrastructure, which was the electrical would check that box.
Well, I think that.
And had he finished the crash gate and the other items, then he would have been able to get reimbursed for them, but it wasn't part of the agreement that he had to that those didn't have to be part of phase one.
But that was all agreed upon back in 2018. So, I mean, why were they
Tim,
even
is
in there?
that stuff into phase one? Is there some confusion over the development agreement and the phase one infrastructure?
Yeah, so development agreement and then the Exhibit C, development agreement has substantial completion is the word, right?
Right.
And substantial completion of the development in phase one, what the city justified as that he'd had to finish the electrical infrastructure and would not and did not because he wasn't going to build on those lots yet. So we held the RID funds because it wasn't completed substantially. Now that there's a signed agreement with Evergy to complete that substantially, the RID funds could be released to the new developer, if that makes sense.
But in the development agreement, the infrastructure was to be completed at the same time everything else was being done. So, you know, when it wasn't being done, it still isn't all done, but yet we're releasing funds. That
As
doesn't
I
make
understand, we're
sense.
releasing funds to get the Evergy piece done, correct?
It was part of the closing process, so it's part of the funding stack, it's part of the outline for closing costs and everything that they went through. They went through the whole process, and then that was the last thing to be done that day. So once everything else was signed over and substantial completion, certification, thing like that was all done
So
on
those
closing.
individuals living in Silverback could interact with the new owners to see, you know, what some other things that were promised that they can do or not do.
The point is to follow the process and to follow the agreement, and that it just seems like, you know, we're changing things as we go along, and I think we just need to do things the right way.
I'm just gonna tell you, I'm confused, because
that?
I'm confused. You've been up here asking for Silverback to be done. We
Right.
had, you know, local people invest. We now have what we consider a reliable organization to take it over, and yet we're still complaining.
It's not complaining, it's about doing things the right way and following what we, I mean, you might as well, you know, some of this page, just rip them up, because we just keep doing things as we choose to do that. And instead of making sure that we have things in place and that everybody that's involved, and that's exactly why the contract should be made public, to see exactly what was promised along the way, so we all know how it was, what was promised for the future, because it's not here, so everybody can see it.
But the contract is between,
But it has to do, we have 3 employees with the city that are involved in this, so I think there's nothing wrong
Well, we
with
can-
it being public.
well, we'll
So
check it.
that's.
I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't, I'm just legally,
Yeah,
we'll
well,
see.
But
what-
it's
we'll see what the
somewhat
legal-
public, because we have employees of the city involved in this with the
Okay.
entities.
Well, I think if
So-
you have more questions, I would encourage you to get with Kim.
Are you, well, I think it's fair. I mean, I've watched Kim work on this for the last 3 months as they've gone through the closing process. Is it your understanding that you've changed some part of the process to allow this thing to close?
No.
Thank you.
The eligible cost
I
list
don't think
is,
we need to leave this room with the idea that somehow we've skirted the agreement. I think there's some major confusion over what is in the development agreement, and what Mickey said publicly over the course of 2 to 3 years about what it was all going to be out there, and what is the city's legal requirement regarding infrastructure that was completed up to an amount of, I don't know how many millions of dollars it was. And the crash gate was not done. Had it been done, it could have been included. Perhaps a pool could have been put in that would have been included. but it wasn't put in, so it isn't being included. It's not to say that there's not going to be a pool at some time, but the agreement, when you hit the 2.7 million, or whatever the threshold was for the infrastructure costs that would be able for us to give substantial completion of phase one, has been met. When a crash gate or a pool or whatever else happens, then that'll be addressed at that time. But that wasn't a requirement of closing out phase one for the homes that were out there and dispersing the money. And I know you don't understand that, and we're not gonna, well,
No, it's a good question. So Exhibit C is an eligible cost, and they, whenever they create a RID, they'll estimate all of these costs. So we're gonna say land acquisition, 100,000, sewer, streets, all of that. And then each of those line items are eligible. So yes, in a way, it would be like a checklist, like they get this done, they get this done, they get this done. But within the development agreement, it didn't say he had to do a crash gate, he had to do an entrance package. So that's where the difference is. He was eligible if he did to get that money, but if he doesn't, then it wasn't.
When we agreed, we all approved, you all approved the package, and that was in here. So why aren't we completing the things we said and promised to people? There are a lot of people who are expecting a pool out there too.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's the words of people. Either they mean what they say and then they do them, or
Well, is
we-
it
we
the words,
lose.
or was it a contract?
Pardon me? Well,
Was
this
it a
is a
con-
contract. You
No,
all
was it,
signed.
no, I keep hearing the word agreement. I didn't hear the word contract.
Well,
Is there a contract?
But you have signed people in the agreement, and now you're saying that didn't matter?
No, I'm saying, is there a contract?
There is
You know, you
The
can't-
agreement is like a contract, Ron.
There's a
Not
separate
necessarily.
development
I don't know
agreement.
whether-
If
Kim,
he had
can you
done
explain,
them,
or
if he-
can one of you explain the difference between the RID Phase One agreement and the development agreement?
Yeah, so the development agreement basically outlines the 60 homes, the 60 parcels, the electrical, gas, water, sewer, road, curb, gutter, all the infrastructure. And if those things per the city are substantially complete, then we can release RID funds. The reason we never did is because he never finished the electrical infrastructure, which is a pretty big deal for 15 homes to complete phase one. So we held that. Within the closing process, in order to make the deal come to terms and make it work, then they had to commit to finishing those last remaining lots with Evergy. So they have a contract with Evergy to complete the electrical infrastructure, which we took as a substantial agreement to do that, if that makes sense. Development agreement outlines a lot of things. It's several pages, but Exhibit C that Christie's referring to is an eligible cost list, not a contracted list of things that have to be completed.
But it refers to it in the agreement. Exhibit C, Exhibit D, all those exhibits are referred to
Right.
as different parts of the
Throughout
funding
the whole thing.
agreement and the development agreement. And it's just like either we mean what we say, and this is how it's going to be done, and we go that way, or we just change our minds and do things differently. And I don't think that's what we should do, because then nobody knows what's going to happen.
Right.
So that's my concern. And
Well, there's nothing to say that Silverback won't go back and do those things. So,
And to say, well, we thought Mickey was gonna do those things. So, you know, we had high hopes for Mickey to do these things, and look what happened.
Well, but-
And the city makes sure that, you know, things are followed, and watch what's getting done and how it's getting done are very important.
yes, and we are
To
doing that.
everybody.
Yeah, we're doing that.
But there have
Well,
been, there
we
have been
did
other developments in town that stuff has been promised and never accomplished. Other areas in the past. Am I correct about that?
We're looking, I mean, Henry's pulled
Yeah.
up the P&L development agreement that you passed, that we're all referring to what you passed. Public facilities, phase one. The public facilities will include the construction of water, sanitary sewer, stormwater, streets, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and other utilities, including but not limited to electric and fiber, period. Now, and I know this is where we're getting hung up. And a part of that has to be an eligible cost list, just like when we do a community improvement district. We have to be really clear through our policy that says, hey, we'll put a 0.5 cent sales tax on top of your sales tax out at the North Shopping District. But you can't charge your car that you drive back and forth to Kansas City with as an eligible cost. We will list a bunch of eligible costs. We have the right to set that in the agreement. We have a right in the RID to set an agreement saying, yes, if you put in a crash gate, you put in, I don't know what else is on that list. Those could be eligible costs. If you don't put them in, you won't be reimbursed for them. And he chose not to. What he did put in was all the stuff that I listed under Public Facilities Phase 1, which is when completed, kicks off the payment for the substantial completion that Kim keeps referring to. Is it confusing? Yeah, it wouldn't have been if Mickey would have just built everything he said he was going to, but the agreement that we enforced is clearly listed under Public Facilities Phase 1, and it doesn't include all of the other stuff. Now, if Matt was here, the last 2 meetings Matt Burton's been here, he said, hey, we're gonna make all those things happen out there. They are the new development team, and I believe them, but that's not to be confused with the P&L development agreement that you approved that I just read from. And thanks, Henry, for bringing it up.
Cheryl,
that make sense?
Oh, I'm sorry. Does that answer your question, Cheryl?
You're using the same documents as you were in 18. So that's where the confusion lies. And I've never heard of, maybe it's just me, of paying for it ahead of schedule, even though you know that they're going to do it, but it's a lot of money. And it's a lot of money that was sitting in the city of Pittsburgh. And it's confusing. It is. And I'm with her. Sometimes it feels like it isn't worth the paper it's written on.
If we'd have held the money, would the closing have happened?
If we'd have held the money, I don't know, I wasn't involved.
If they
in
were
the
going to do it, they're going to do it. It's required. I
Not
mean, it's
necessarily.
on the front end.
No, you
If it's
gotta-
just electrical, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
It's
costing
neat.
them. They've got to have something on paper that says, we're going to do it. You know, it's like if I'm going to build a house, I sign a contract, right? And then I start paying for it. We either pay it off, or you pay it up front, or you wait until it's over. When it's over and done, then fine, you pay it. But if they don't, if you don't pay them, if you don't give them the agreement, or you don't have the contract, then they're not going to start.
Evergy is not, I mean, I don't want to call anybody else a fly-by-night company, but I mean, Evergy is the only company in this area that provides electricity.
Sure.
We do a number of projects with them. The pad that was done out where we're doing the data center, when you get under contract with Evergy, they're going to do it on their schedule. They're going to do it if there's a storm or natural disaster, they're going to get pulled away and do it. I don't think anybody has any doubt that now that we're under contract, Mickey would not contract with Evergy to get the work ordered. Ordering the work, and I wasn't part of the contract, with Evergy, I think is a pretty solid bet. And if it got the deal closed so we could get Mickey out of the picture, I say hats off to him. I wasn't privy to all that, but I'm understanding I have a lot of confidence Evergy's probably going to do the work since they always show up and do whatever we do, but they do it on their schedule. We don't have any control over that. So
Is
I
that
can
what-
understand that you're unhappy about
But
it.
no, I'm not saying I'm unhappy. I
just-
think it's a bargaining chip is what it is. That $142,000 was a bargaining chip. And the money was sitting there in the city coffers or wherever it was that, hey, it's like, if you do this, Ron, if you build a house, I'm gonna give you this. And,
But
that's an incentive.
But
And
that's a
yes,
little,
once
that's a
it's
little
done.
different because the bargaining chip gives some kind of idea that possibly that won't be given. That 141,000 is not ours. It is going to go to the developer.
And I understand that, but
So what-
for
I
them
don't
to sign
understand.
the contract, or you said it happened at the contract.
Happened at closing.
So,
Yep.
that doesn't happen every day. So,
No, but I think I don't understand, there's 3 people involved. There's a local bank and an individual that put over $2 million into this to get this thing bought locally so we could save it from wherever it was. I think that doesn't mean we should just wash away all the crossing the Ts and dotting the Is. But to get this thing across the finish line took a lot of trust, and it took a lot of investment by people in this community that wanted it to happen. So I think Evergy probably going to do the work they said they're going to do when they get around to it, and it's going to be sooner than later. And I think it was a good decision by Kim or whoever made it. It's all right there. It has changed hands. I was told yesterday that although there probably won't be a home started in October, they'll start in November. And we haven't given the money to the one person that I don't think we should have gave the money to, which was what we've shared all along with you. And if it was part of closing to match the over $2 million investment of the local bank and the individual that put it in there, I think it's pretty good faith. I mean, we're going to get this thing moving and we're going to get housing. But to Christie's point, I think in 2018, I'm pretty sure, and I may be wrong, I think this is the first RID we did. And I don't think Kim did it. And the people we were relying on to do it, I don't think are anywhere near this room. I don't think it was as incorrect as it was the first attempt. And I can tell you the RIDs that we've done since then, I don't think we've seen these kind of issues with. And I appreciate what you're saying, which is, hey, these need to be cleaner and better, but legally, I think it's all legal. If everybody doesn't like it, I understand that, but we have leveraged the money that the city taxpayers put in, not as a bargaining chip, but I think we did a good job of holding it back to the person that didn't deserve it and have given it to the company and the group that does. And we're going to move forward from that. And if it's confusing, well, it's been 7 years. Hopefully, we're better at this one and we'll be better at the next one, Christie. But I appreciate you coming up and
But
looking at it.
I am hoping this all goes well. You know,
We are
we need
too.
to have some success here. But things were said back in 2018, and as we went on in this room, and Darren, you said a lot of things, and everybody was thinking, okay, this is how it's gonna be, and then all of a sudden, it all changed. So it's a concern.
So since
that's the thing.
2017, we have probably had 6 to 7 significant developments that are new to us. And I think our track record is pretty good with the partners that we pick and the outcomes that we get, and the scrutiny that we put on the public money that we don't get taken to the cleaners. We have not been taken to the cleaners on this, but yes, this is definitely one that will be a shining example of all developments are risky, especially when your partners aren't local Crawford Countyans, so we know where we can drive over and drag them out of their house and go, what are you doing? We need to get this done. So this has been an exceptional example of, there's risk with development. I think we've salvaged it. I think the people that live out there are going to have the neighborhood that they moved into, that they want to have. And I think we're all going to have peace of mind that nobody walked off with a bunch of city money to another county or another state. Because I think in the end, that's our promise is, however weird it gets, whoever's the developer and how they act, we're accountable for the city money. And I think that's what Kim spent the last 3 months making sure at closing, our money wasn't going to go off to Keokuk. It was going to stay here and go with the local people that have invested in the project from this point forward to make it happen. So
And I thank Kim for your work, but I also think, you know, the way it was done, and it's process. Always follow the way things are written, and if that's what we're supposed to do, then we need to do it, and otherwise, it kind of looks like, okay, so what else may change? You know, that was the thing.
and whatever it looks like,
Madam Mayor, I call the
we
question.
don't want it to be confusing.
I'm sorry.
Good point. We don't want it to be
All right.
confusing.
The question's been called. I would entertain a motion to approve appropriation ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Doug, seconded by Chuck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-1. All right, moving on to special presentations. KDOT, representative from KDOT will provide an update on the conclusion of Highway 69 corridor study. Welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. My name's Steve Rockers. I'm a project manager for KDOT. Joining me tonight is Jeff Fisher. He's the area engineer. All right. So last time we were here, we were kind of wrapping up the study phase, like last spring. So moving forward progress, survey work is done, and now we're beginning the design phase. We wanted to kind of just give you another update on how that's going. All right. So the agenda for tonight is we're going to give you a little background on how we got here. Jeff's going to get into kind of a little bit of a high level, kind of what the projects are, and then finally the next steps. Did everybody get a handout?
We've all got,
Okay.
I think we got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Just making sure. Thank you, Jeff. All right. So the background. When we did the study, we looked at the current and future, as you know, all projects of what's how U.S. ignites behavior in Crawford County, and we did that through extensive and communication. We had numerous public meetings, 2 days of meetings all around the corridor, and then we did a lot of engineering behind it, traffic safety and a safety assessment to kind of balance, get a full score on how everything rated. What came out of all that study was the two goals of, we heard a lot of enhancing the safety and keeping the traffic moving, improving the mobility. And so kind of the next thing we're going to talk about is there's two projects, groups of projects. The committed projects are committed for construction and design, and those will be happening here in the next before 2030. And then the under development projects, those are the bigger projects, quite a bit more on that one, and those are currently just programmed for design. There is no construction money for those. Having said that, I will now turn it over to Jeff to kind of talk about the committed projects.
So it was fun the last couple of years having these open meetings and forums where we got to experience the creative design process at various locations around this 69 corridor going through Crawford County. And as Steve mentioned, the focus areas were enhancing the safety as well as improving the mobility. And I'd kind of like to describe with a couple of examples of what those really mean. Enhancing safety could be as simple as eliminating left-hand turns. As we age, we find that left-hand turns become more and more problematic. A lot of the serious crashes that our first responders respond to are indeed these left-hand turn crashes. So that's one way that a transportation engineer will address a safety concern. Improving mobility. This is much like it's tied to the number of seconds that average delay at a signal. And one of the things that we found out, and one of the things that's bearing into a project, is that Quincy had the lowest level of service. It also had the highest safety concern. And so we're going to be talking about a roundabout at Quincy, which eliminates right-hand turn lanes and also eliminates the more than 15 seconds that the average traveler would spend at that signal. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about enhancing safety and improving the mobility. So here we have the list of 11 projects. 2 of these are corridors. And starting up north, Franklin Arma Corridor, the improvements include edge rumble strips, as well as contrast pavement markings. Again, these are committed projects. They are in various stages of design, but they're committed for construction most likely before the year 2030. So 2 of these are segments. The other segment is the Pittsburgh segment, and this involves street lighting.
So is 20, just to be clear, 2030 is the end of the 10-year program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll start the new one in 2031. Is that how it works? You don't just shift it every 2 years?
We've had success, but we don't have, you're spot on. We don't have that next program yet. There are discussions ongoing about starting, but yeah, that is kind of the idea is that.
So by committed, they're in that 10-year program. That's kind of why you're putting them on the committed list, right? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem. And we're talking about, there's 11 projects here. They might be bundled. They might look a little bit different when they come through. There might be 4 projects to address these segments and these intersections. So there are 9 intersections on this committed project list. 4 of these are signaled intersections. And these signals are designed with, let's just say, enhanced technology, including video detection and also advanced warning systems. I don't know if you've been through Fort Scott, but they've done some signal improvements, so as you're coming across the hill, if that light is flashing, it's like seeing around the corner. You know you're gonna have to stop. And you can trust those advanced warning signals to moderate your speed as you're running through Fort Scott. And then the video detection really accommodates platoons, so the level of service will improve at these new signals because there's, let's just say, smarter technology that is managing those movements. You'll see 3 of these intersections where the left-hand movement is restricted. You'll see 1 of these intersections where there are signing improvements. And then, of course, you'll see the 1 Quincy roundabout where there was an opportunity to enhance the safety by eliminating any left-hand turn movement there, as well as enhancing improving the mobility, which there's actually no delay as you go through that type of an intersection. So these 11 projects have been identified and they are committed for construction. Let's see. So kind of as a reminder, the discovery phase, that was these meetings that we've had. We've presented design concepts. We got feedback from probably many of you here. But we're in the preliminary final design commitment to cut construction. Next happens is letting. That's where contracts are awarded. And then from that we get a construction schedule. So there's another type of project that's called the projects that are under development. We're committed to the design on those projects. And kind of like this last list, we have 9 more projects on the Crawford County corridor, 69 corridor. 8 of these pertain to intersection and 1 pertains to a segment, the Frontenac corridor. For the intersection improvements, 6 of these projects add lanes for turning movements and acceleration lanes. There's a potential for 3 more roundabouts that are under design and development. And then 2 of these intersections, they've reduced the wide sweeping turn lanes to a more, let's just say, angular approach to where it slows the vehicles entering into that right turn movement down before they make a turn, and they can do that at a better viewing angle, looking over your shoulder as well as turning that corner. So again, these are projects that are in the pipeline, the 5 to 10-year plan. So what are the next steps? Well, the next steps, we have begun meeting with impacted property owners and the businesses that are along this corridor. Next summer, we'll have more meetings on how we are progressing in carrying out these projects. Of course, we'll have public open houses as well. We do have other projects that are committed that are outside the scope of this project. There are 3 signals. The signal at Centennial is going to be replaced with this technology, advanced warning system, so where you know coming in from the south, before you cross the bridge, that the light is expected to turn red by the time you get there. That project has been let. It's under contract. CDL anticipates installing that early January.
That's at Centennial, finally?
At Centennial.
How long's that project been in the works?
You know, there's probably a couple years. There was maybe 3 years now.
Yeah, that's a frustration part of this that I have. We have a lot of meetings, we have a lot of public meetings, and we move at a snail's pace, especially when you're talking about safety. Polly's spearheading a lot of this stuff. So within 3 years, the signal need to be replaced. We might get that done. The rest of this stuff, it could be done in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, I don't know. That's not much hope for the people that have some safety issues with what we have now.
Isn't Centennial a little bigger than just a signal, though? Isn't there a left-hand turn lane coming,
There are.
going southbound?
Uh,
That may be out of your wheelhouse to know exactly what's going on at every intersection, but I thought that was a little more. I know the signal got, to Commissioner's point, the signal got torn down in a traffic hoo-ha about 3 years ago, and then I think the idea now is that there's a protected left turn coming southbound.
as part of that signal package.
It's more than just the signal, but I have to, I'm always going to agree with them. You can't do it fast enough when it's safety involved, but I think there's a little more than a signal coming there, I hope.
And there are two other signal projects that have been committed for funding. One of them is at 20th Street, and one of them is at 126 or 4th Street. Again, there's been review of design, field checks, these kinds of things.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Don't take this offense to this.
Oh, no.
When people like yourself are involved in the phases of design, do you ever see any of this getting done before you retire?
Sure, all the time.
All right. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. I was just wondering.
Yeah, fair question, yeah. Because it is frustrating, but when you have so many moving parts and impacts, you want to make sure you do carefully, and it takes time to do it right. And if we were to do things at a faster pace, we just don't want to make mistakes when you're dealing with the impacts. And we do very slowly. Of course, we're wrapping up the study this summer, and immediately afterward, they started surveying. And so those committed projects, especially that roundabout at Quincy, it will happen. And there's money for it. This summer, we'll be out there field check, or we'll have plans and so forth. But there's also kind of a funding issue too, right? And we don't,
Sure.
that we have to balance all the funding. But I hear that comments a lot. It takes so long, but when you put these things together, I said you kind of want to make sure you do it right.
All right.
So the list here is in no particular order. I mean, is there a priority?
I think they're in direction from which you'd pair one of them south to north, north to
Right,
south.
but in
That
terms of-
they're not prioritized
Okay,
now.
except maybe Quincy Roundabout.
The Quincy Roundabout, I mean, kind of just in high-level terms, there's about $8 million programmed for the construction of all those committed projects. The Quincy Roundabout's about $5 million. All the rest of them are fairly simple projects, don't require right-of-way, and they should be done before even the Quincy one.
Okay.
And I would say that some of the improvements, we were able to install some wet recoverable striping along a certain section of the corridor. As these studies, we were able to adjust little pieces of them into existing projects and make those improvements. And I think it's worth noting that this is what we kind of expect. Some immediate projects to be completed before you and I retire. Yeah, hey, 69 is 4-lane to Kansas City
Well,
from
that's
here.
good to hear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good to hear, hopefully.
It's,
I don't know
and
when
it
you're
took a long time to get
When are you
there.
planning on retiring?
By 2030?
I don't have any plans, to be honest with you. I could, but I don't have any plans, so have too much fun.
All right.
Any other questions for our guests?
I have one. What's the West Atkinson project gonna look like? Since we have,
Now, which list is that on?
that's where.
Committed.
Where the
So that
bypass
would
comes
be
up to Broadway.
right now they have it drawn as a couple roundabouts.
Okay.
And as you might imagine, there's a lot of different landowners along that. That's where it gets complicated.
Is that gonna service, the semis, the big trucks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When you do design work, you have to look at all the issues, and for sure it will accommodate. Being US 69, that's a freight corridor, which you have to.
Well, I don't know
make
who designed the one by Fredonia, but it doesn't work well.
sure. Yeah. They're getting better and better.
Okay.
Well, and I know we've had conversations about Quincy because school buses need to get there, first responders need to get around trucks, so.
And we have tools in the design toolbox, what we call auto turn, which kind of simulates all kinds of different trucks and axles and maneuvers, so.
And one of the reasons why Quincy has been changed to a five-legged roundabout is for firefighter access to that intersection off of, is it Georgia?
Yes.
So, you know, as an agency, I think these listening sessions have been very beneficial for us to come up with solutions that work for Crawford Countyans, and as we strive to complete our mission of moving Kansans forward.
I'm gonna ask Matt. Matt, do you have any questions of these gentlemen? Because
I will. I don't have any questions. I talk to the guys all the time. What I will say for Chuck, to your point about what they are doing, I can tell you that their survey teams have been here, because I've been meeting with them, providing them information. You guys did sign some contracts for C-CLIP agreements for 4th and 20th. So that part of it, it is a long drawn out process for multiple things, but they have, their surveyors have been here so they can start all that design stuff. I have worked with all their teams, so they are moving.
Good,
So,
thank you.
whether it seems like it or not, they are doing something.
Thank you.
all right. Thank
There
you.
is a website that has a lot of content, including what this looked like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the corridor. A lot of history in there. It's pretty easy to navigate. It's live, and you can go to it probably from this QR code or from our public-facing website.
Great.
Want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to special presentations, Building Health, Inc. Cassie Jones, Transportation Program Manager for Building Health, Inc. will provide an update on general public transportation in Crawford County. And Becky Gray also.
Sorry, I confused Cassie with Casey.
Close,
Earlier, yeah.
but not quite.
It
Yep.
was,
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Thank you so much for giving us space on your agenda tonight. My name is Becky Gray, and I am the Director of Building Health, Inc. We're a nonprofit subsidiary of the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas. And I'm here with Cassie Jones, who is our Transportation Program Manager, to talk about another KDOT, another piece of KDOT. This is General Public Transportation. We refer to our program as Caravan. I believe you should have received a presentation from us. Hopefully it's in front of you. It starts, the second page of the, is it on this machine?
Is it on?
Perhaps.
We know? Anyone? We don't know if it's loaded on the.
I'll just check. How about that? There's KDOT. I don't see it, but we can follow along. And
Okay.
I'm not intending to read this to you all. But the very first page of the presentation does include what the Kansas Rural Transit Assistance Program refers to as transit-dependent demographics. So we look at demographics within Crawford County, not the city of Pittsburgh, but in the county as a whole, and give you a bit of a breakdown of your total population in the county that would likely use a transportation program. Also on that second page is an image of one of our caravans with the ADA accessibility ramp pulled out, just so that you can kind of see how some of these vehicles work. We're here tonight to not only share our program statistics, but also ask for a letter of support from you all. We are in the process of drafting a grant that's going to go to KDOT, and it'll fund fiscal year 27 under the KDOT program to help support our caravan. In that program, you heard from Casey and CCAP earlier, there is a substantial amount of the program cost that's required as local match. I believe under the 5311 program that we're applying for, it's 30%. So of our total cost, 30% of it has to come from local sources. So we are experimenting with raising our own local sources by also having under the caravan umbrella non-emergency medical transportation, or NEMT, if you want to use the acronym. We use non-emergency medical transportation to bill a patient's insurance provider, primarily Medicaid, in order to generate revenue that then reduces the amount of that local match that we need to seek from other sources. We're fortunate as a subsidiary of Community Health Center that they have agreed to meet our local match, and we use our NEMT to reduce the amount of money that they have to put into the program. Cassie has a goal of getting to the point where they balance out and our NEMT brings in enough revenue that we don't have to have any subsidies from another organization. So that's our strategy for the next 5 years. It's just kind of slow moving. So for anyone listening out there in the community to schedule a ride, we have a dedicated dispatch department. Our team can be reached at 833-228-7433. We ask riders to call well in advance because we are quite busy and the dispatch schedule fills up. And so about 2 weeks early, if a person can plan for it, is quite helpful. We believe our riders have a great experience. Cassie and her team does a rider satisfaction survey every quarter. Randomly selected passengers get phone calls from a different team at the Community Health Center to ask about their experience. And so far we have really excellent results with those rider satisfactions. Our team of drivers go through significant training, how to appropriately secure a wheelchair, defensive driving techniques, basic life-saving skills, how to handle bloodborne pathogens, and more. So I'm very proud of the team and their training and the service that they provide. In the last program year, so that's July 24 to June 25, in Crawford County, we've provided 6,845 rides. So I think this would be the 5th page of your presentation that you have in front of you. Demonstrates our program statistics. And you can see that the total rides are listed in one column, and then we split it into the KDOT program, so we know how much KDOT provides rides, our non-emergency medical transit program, and then the last column is new to us this year. We provide rides for specialty court programs with the 11th Judicial District's Recovery Court, and then also the City of Pittsburgh's Pathways to Promise. Hope.
Promise, hope, one of the two.
So that is our municipal courts diversion program. New data to us this year is the bottom line on that slide. We were realizing that we were turning back a lot of rides. We just didn't have the capacity to take them. And so our dispatch team began keeping track of how many rides that we turned down. So that data is between February 1st of 25 through August 31st of 25, and it's roughly 47 rides a month that we're not able to fulfill. So I think that's an important indicator for you all as community leaders to recognize that there are people in your community that can't quite get around, that we don't have those local resources. The following page demonstrates the trip purpose. Given that a portion of our program is non-emergency medical transportation, it's no surprise that the largest use of Caravan is to get to medical appointments. But we also do provide rides to work. No rides to education this past year, but the 12% pie piece that you see is labeled other, and that's typically rides to get goods and services. So that's your Walmart trips, your pharmacy trips, trips to the vets, trips to the...
All the medical rides,
stores. Yeah.
are they only to community health?
Oh, gosh, no.
Or they go to other healthcare providers
Do you want to field that?
in the county?
So for our general public transportation, it's on a first come, first served basis. We take them anywhere that they want to go. With non-emergency medical transportation, it's primarily booked through Kansas Medicaid. A lot of times we're taking them to Topeka, to Wichita, Tulsa. We've gone up close to Nebraska, just so that they are able to get to these very important appointments.
One of the biggest medical provider types that we provide transit to passengers to is to dialysis and cancer treatment centers. So no, it's not strictly community health. Good
What
question.
percentage of your income comes from federal funding? Just
So
approximate.
with the KDOT grant, it is,
No,
I want to make sure I get it right, 30% federal. Is that right? 30% federal,
I wanna make sure that
30% state?
They're answering what you think you're
Yeah.
asking. This is just Caravan you're asking about.
Yeah, just Caravan.
Yep. So it's a formula broken up into state funding, federal funding, and local match. Our local match is 30%. I believe state funding's close to
I think it's 40, 30, 30.
40, 30, 30? Thank you. I should let the program manager
Is there,
answer that
with the,
question.
with the funding problems that are going on right now, is there going to be any problem there?
You know, in the world of transportation, we have not heard or seen a cause to be alarmed on that yet.
So this 30% local, are you just talking about the city of Pittsburgh, or are you talking about
The county,
the county?
So
Are you asking them
when we
to-
say local, it would mean our whole service area. So we provide this transit service in Bourbon County, Crawford County, and Cherokee County.
So you'd be asking them for a portion of this 30% match?
No, sir, Commissioner Munsell, we provide our own local match by using
Oh, so you won't ask us for any?
I'm just asking for a letter of support.
Well, you know.
I know.
You don't know the answers until you ask.
No,
the
it's a good question. It's a very good question. No, we're trying to fill that local match with the revenue generated by billing insurance for the non-emergency medical transport. One of the second to last page is our pickup location. So that's everything in Crawford County where we pick people up on all the different towns around. You can see, of course, the biggest pickup location is in the city of Pittsburgh. I think it's really important to understand that the majority of these other locations are coming to Pittsburgh to have access to goods and services that they need here. So even though, you know, you can see us way out in Arcadia, I imagine those folks are coming into town to do the work they need to do.
Majority of our riders are elderly disabled.
Go ahead. Yeah,
The
go.
majority of our riders for our general public transportation are our elderly and disabled populations. And so we're asking for this letter of support so that we can continue to provide these services for Crawford County.
I'm sorry, there's. All right, there you go. Go to the questions.
Drafting the letter. I guess the question was, when you pick up somebody, are they required to make a payment or
Nope.
nothing?
So
Can they
if
make
it, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So if it's non-medical, if they want to go to Walmart, they don't pay?
Nope.
All right.
So the way that the 5311 program, the General Public Transportation Program works, if fares are charged, it further reduces the amount of federal dollars that come in. So we've made the administrative decision to say, let's go ahead and take those federal dollars that are already getting dispensed throughout the United States and let our riders, who, like Cassie said, are primarily elderly and disabled, ride at no cost. Not to say we don't have riders that consistently pay what they're able to. We do. We do collect fares. We're not going to turn them down, but it's not mandatory.
So Doc asked earlier, how confident are you from getting these grants? What happens if you don't get them?
That's a really good question. Confidence level, I think everything's up in the air right now in terms of federal funding. Last year I could have told you a really definitive answer. This year I don't feel like there are definitive answers. What would happen if we don't get the federal funding? A couple of things. Within the Caravan fleet, we have KDOT funded vehicles that can only be used for KDOT purposes. And then we have vehicles that we've purchased with our own dollars that we use for non-emergency medical transport. The KDOT vehicles we could not use for any other purpose, and so we would divest of them. They would go back into the KDOT system and go to another transit provider that hopefully did get funded. The non-emergency medical transport vehicles, we would continue to use and continue to build insurance so long as those funds continue to exist as well.
If it's non-medical, how do you bill their insurance for it?
It's non-emergency medical transport.
So they go to Walmart, it's non-emergency medical.
Two separate programs. So the KDOT will take you anywhere, Walmart, veterinarian,
So
Dollar
you
General.
wouldn't be doing, KDOT would, those funds are gone if you don't get the grant.
Then we would only be focused on getting people to their medical appointments. Yep.
Makes sense. Or charge them.
Hopefully the general public transportation. I think that, you just listen to other KDOT representatives, and I think that philosophically speaking, most of those programs understand the need to continue to move people, goods, and services throughout communities, how important that is for commerce. So my hope is that level heads prevail and transit dollars stay intact.
Any other questions for Becky and Kathy? Nope, great, thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. We did provide a sample letter of support. I sent to Tammy Nagel, so should you all be willing to sign a letter to go in with our grant application, we would be very grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, moving on, consider the following. Band shell project disposition of bid. Consider approval of staff recommendation to award the bid of the J.J. Richards Band Shell Restoration Project to Mid Central Contract Services of Pittsburgh, Kansas, in the amount of $243,700, and if approved, authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the contract.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. We received 2 bids for this project. Mid Central's bid came in as low bid. Once we compared apples to apples, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for the project.
Do you mind telling the people what all is involved?
Yeah, the broad overscope of this project is we're basically going to restore the band dome that has suffered from some deferred maintenance or lack of funding, whatever term you want to pick. It needs a new roof, it needs some roof substructure, it needs tuck pointed, cut, sealed, repainted, some electrical upgrades. We're going to add a ADA accessible ramp to the back for backstage access, which will get people onto the stage, and then a new concrete floor and steps going to the main stage from the front. And so that's basically top to bottom, the immediate band shell structure will be remodeled.
Toby, these ARPA funds, we had to prioritize and commit where we're gonna use the money by
Yes.
December 31st, 2024. And in here it has Bandone rehabilitation for $250,000. And this bids for, what is it, $243,700?
Yes.
Where will that, can we use that extra money somewhere else, or?
I'm hoping that we have it left over to shift. The one concern we do have is we don't know the damage of the actual dome. They were not able to expose that, so that's kind of our contingency. I've spoke to the contractor and said, whatever you do, don't go over that
Okay.
number. So, yeah, Chuck, I mean, there's other projects that, I mean, pickleball, Lincoln Center roof that, and I know Jay has some ARPA projects going on too, so yes, that,
So this 250 didn't have to be spent just on, if it comes in under and we can do it under?
we allocated 250 for it.
Okay.
And right now, we're setting under, but once they pull the skin off that
Sure.
roof, we're not exactly sure
Could
what
be
we're
over.
getting into. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So we have a contingency, basically.
A little bit, yeah.
Is there any funds left over for the other projects in case this Bandome needs more?
We haven't got the engineering design back for Lincoln Center roof, so we don't know where that's gonna land. Initial estimates, we're gonna be under on that one, so if we,
Okay.
you know, if we have to do some shuffling, we will.
All right, thanks.
Much needed project.
Yep.
Would entertain a motion to approve the
Move to
bid.
approve.
So moved.
Moved by Cheryl, seconded by Doc. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Toby. November meeting schedule. Discussion is needed to determine the preference of city commission members as to the November meeting schedule.
Mayor, Commissioners, at our last meeting, we made you aware that November 11th is a holiday, and so the decision was to just do away with that meeting. Obviously, we didn't want to meet on a holiday, and just have the last meeting in the month, but it would be a lot better for paying bills, and we're getting close to the end of the year, if we could actually have you consider an alternate date instead of having the last meeting of the month, which would be, I don't have a calendar, I'm not that smart.
What about the 18th?
We were hoping the 12th.
12th?
It was just the day after, it would be the
Oh.
Wednesday after the 11th, which is what it was planned to be, but
That's a Wednesday.
it is.
Is that a question or a?
Yeah,
usually
direct all your
comes after
questions to
Tuesday.
Tammy.
So we would have one meeting in November and it would be the 12th.
It would be the 12th. That's the recommendation
Okay.
from staff, if that's okay. It'd help us with bill paying. It's too long of a gap otherwise.
Everyone? anyone
Okay,
wanna-
we don't need action. Tammy has a thing that she publishes that says we're moving the meeting, so thank you. That's all we had on that.
All right, we have a couple things under non-agenda items. There was something at our place, is that?
Yeah, so Matt, you're gonna talk about this with me too?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. On Wednesday, October 8th, we had rebid the 616 North Broadway project due to the previous condition of the structure that had changed with the previous contractor. Bids were received. We received one bid. That bid, we are going to ask for you to reject that bid as an action item tonight, and we are going to clarify some scope around this project, and look at a different way to bid it and have it back on the street for another rebid. This project budget was obviously more than what we expected from only having one bidder, and we don't feel it's a competitive bid. So if you could take an action to reject this bid, we are going to put it back on the street, please.
Is there a motion to reject the bid on the 616 North Broadway project?
I got a question before
Okay, I'm
you,
sorry.
only because you started the work, somebody started the work there first.
Correct.
And
And then
then-
conditions changed. The structure had some issues that were unforeseen. We had a very rainy spring. Conditions changed prior to the contractor starting work. And the contractor did not feel comfortable with those conditions.
Oh.
And so, we're mutually separated from that.
Okay, so
And
they didn't complete any of,
I think we only had one bidder.
we only had one bidder on that project. We didn't have someone else to default into.
They mobilized, but
Yeah.
while they were mobilizing, it rained for 15 days, and more of it came down, and they weren't comfortable going in, and so
so how much did you spend the first time?
We're still working on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Any other questions from that?
no.
Is there a motion to reject the bid?
I'll make a motion to reject the bid. You know,
Is that a second? Yeah, so motion by Chuck, I'm gonna assume second by Doc. All those in favor to reject the current bid on 616 North Broadway, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Max. I know last time we had the auditors, and there was some concern that we didn't get the documentation early enough, and I'm wondering if there were any questions from that, or if you got them answered in your individual meetings with Darren. Any questions on the audit? Okay. I'd like to have Kim come up and share with us a little bit about PIT 150, and then NAC has a workday, so.
Yeah, sure. So in 2026, Pittsburgh will turn 150 years old. So I think we're really gearing up for that. But in order to start the process and coordinating some events, we are hosting a PIT 150 golf tournament. That golf tournament will be Thursday, October 30th at 10 a.m. at Four Oaks. It's a two-man scramble, and it's a fundraiser for our celebrations committee for Pittsburgh 150th. And you can register online at www.pittsburgh150.com in the events. And then we also have the Neighborhood Advisory Council, or our NAC, which is a group of 12 individuals that represent all four quadrants of the city, is working in partnership with 4 area churches: Flag Church, Pitt Naz, Countryside Christian, and Covenant Harvest, to do a fall cleanup event. And basically, it's help with yard work, some general cleanup, some painting for those that are not able to do so. And so far, registration did close on October 12th. We have 23 homes registered and over 30 volunteers. So we're really looking forward to that event. It will be Saturday, October 25th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Great. Thank you, Kim.
You bet.
And just really quick, some of us attended the league this past weekend, and we sat in a presentation on the World Cup that will be in Kansas City next year. And when they did the bid, they did a circle as to 2 hours out for hospitality, and we're in that circle. So we, in theory, could anticipate visitors staying in Pittsburgh in order to go up to the World Cup. So hopefully Explore Crawford County is on that, so. All right, anyone else?
yeah, I have something.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I have a response. There was a letter to the editor about things about Jay Byers' contract. Darren responded in the Morning Sun today explaining this. And I just want to say, for clarification, and transparency, a section of this. In the article, it says, in May of 2024, Hall said Jay was a finalist for a city manager position in another municipality. At that time, I approached the city commission and discussed their thoughts in retaining Jay. After that meeting, Hall said, with the approval of the commission, Barr's salary was adjusted to its current level. We as a commission never voted on that raise, but we don't have to because $20,000 is the limit that city manager can spend without commission approval. I did meet with you, Darren, a week or so later, and I wasn't in favor of that, and I told you that. You not only spent the $20,000 that you had permission without our approval, you also give him a 10% of his salary, which that went over. That's what we were told. And in that meeting, I asked you if he was a finalist for a city manager position, and you told me, no, he wasn't. We gave him this raise so he wouldn't apply. So I just wanted to put that out there, clarify where we're on it. We didn't vote on that. He had approval to do that. I question the 10% of his salary for deferred compensation. In my opinion, that goes over the $20,000, and like I said, you told me that that raise wasn't given because he applied somewhere else. That raise was given to keep him from applying. I just wanted to put that out there and let people know where I'm at on it.
And so if I can clarify, like you said, I don't need your approval.
That's
So
right.
we had consensus out of our commission, so I wasn't seeking your approval, I was seeking consensus, which is what I did. And his raise wasn't 20,000, so I don't know where that number keeps coming from, but it was 15%, or I think it was roughly 17 something. So thanks for clearing that up, Chuck.
Well, I mean, I'm not going back and forth, but that night that he approached us, it was at 20,000, and evidently it didn't end up being 20,000. And
Yeah, it
you're
wasn't.
correct. Am I correct that you did tell me he hadn't applied somewhere else? This is just to keep him from applying.
I heard that he had applied, so.
Okay,
Yeah, he had
there's two
applied and
different-
was a finalist, and I don't think we
there's
need to
two
name the
different
city,
trains of
but.
thought. I just want to put it out there that where I'm at on it. So thank you.
Well, I want to be clear that, I don't take action without commission approval. There's no commission approval needed for personnel matters. I did it as a courtesy to bring you guys to your attention because Jay is deputy city manager, and in some cases, we want to be aware of that and what he brings to the organization. So I did approach you, and yeah, it was clear to me, and if the other commissioners want to weigh in, that the consensus was, yes, we should do something to retain him, and that's what we did. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Executive session. An executive session is necessary for preliminary discussion regarding the acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75319B6 to discuss the potential acquisition of recreational property. I'm looking for a motion to recess into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss the potential acquisition of real estate for recreational purposes pursuant to preliminary discussions regarding the acquisition of real property exception under KSA 754319B6 with the meeting to resume in the commission room in 15 minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Moved by-
Second.
Moved by Cheryl, seconded by Tom. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The commission is reconvened from executive session. No decisions were made, no votes were taken.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Doc, seconded by Cheryl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.